Good morning, students. Welcome back to our biology class. How are you all? I hope all of you are fine at your places. I request you to keep your learning process well. Today, we are going to learn a new topic, that is sexual reproduction events. Students, do you have any idea about it? Let us discuss it clearly. All sexually reproducing organisms follow a regular sequence of events characterized by the formation of gametes, fusion of gametes, formation of zygote and embryo. All these are the sequential events which take place in all sexually reproducing organisms during sexual reproduction. So these sequential events we can call as sexual reproduction events, and we can classify these events into the following category. What are they? First one is pre-fertilization, second one is fertilization, and last one is post-fertilization. One by one we can discuss. First events, that is pre-fertilization events. What is the meaning of pre-fertilization events? The events which occur before the fertilization we can call as pre-fertilization events. It consists of two steps. What are they? First one is gametogenesis and second one is gamete transfer. These are the two steps which comes in pre-fertilization events. First we can discuss about gametogenesis. Gametogenesis means the process of formation of male and female gametes. This process we can call as the gametogenesis. In gametogenesis, the formation of sperm we can call as spermatogenesis. Next, the formation of eggs we can call as oogenesis. Next, there are two types of gametes. What are they? First one is homogametes or isogametes. Second one is heterogametes or distinct gametes or dissimilar gametes. So, homogametes means the gametes which are similar in appearance and cannot categorize into male and female. Means they are similar in appearance and we cannot identify it as male and female. Okay, such gametes we are calling as homogametes or isogametes. Example, in Cladophora we can see this homogamete. The gametes of Cladophora we are calling as homogametes or isogametes. Why we are calling it as? Because they are similar in appearance. Second type is heterogametes or dissimilar gametes. The gametes which are morphologically distinct, we can call it as a heterogametes. Means the gametes which are not similar in appearance we can call as a heterogametes. They are of two types. What are they? Male gametes. Male gametes we are calling as antherozoid or sperm. Next, female gametes we can call as egg or ovum. Example, fucus, human. In all these organisms we can see heterogametes. So these are the two types of gametes based on the morphology. Okay. Then what is gametogenesis? Formation of male and female gametes we can call as the gametogenesis. In gametogenesis, the process of formation of sperm we can call it as spermatogenesis, whereas the process of formation of female gametes or egg we can call it as oogenesis. Is it clear? Next step, gamete transfer. Gamete transfer means the transfer of male gamete towards the female gametes. That process we are calling as gamete transfer. In majority organisms, male gamete is motile, whereas female is stationary. What is the meaning of motile and stationary? Motile means which can move and stationary means which cannot move. So, the majority of organisms, male gametes are always motile in nature, whereas female are non-motile in nature. Okay. Exceptional cases are also there. A few fungus and algae, both types of gametes are motile. In some fungus and algae, both male and female gametes are motile in nature. Okay. Next point, a medium is required through which the male gametes move. Always for the transportation, male gametes need a medium. Next point, in algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes, water is the medium for gamete transfer. So, in algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes, what will act as a medium? Water will act as a medium for gamete transfer. Okay. Last point, to compensate loss of male gametes during transport, the number of male gametes produced is several thousand and times the number of female gametes produced. Means, already we know that male gametes can move. So, during this movement or during this transportation, lots of male gametes can destroy. So, to compensate this loss, what need to produce more? More male gametes need to produce. Is it clear? So, these are the some points which comes in pre-fertilization events. Okay. What are they? Gametogenesis and gamete transfer. Is it clear? Next, second event we can call as fertilization events. But it is the events which occur after pre-fertilization we can call as fertilization events. What it is? Fertilization means the fusion of male and female gametes and form a diploid zygote. That process of fusion of male and female gametes we can call as fertilization. After fertilization, what will form? A diploid zygote will form. So, this is the second event of sexual reproduction. Next we can discuss types of fertilization. There are two types of fertilization we can see in a living organism. What are they? First one is external fertilization. Second one is internal fertilization. First we can discuss about external fertilization. The fertilization which take place outside the body of a living organism we can call as external fertilization. What it is? The fertilization which take place outside the body of a organism we are calling as external fertilization. Example, algae, fishes and amphibians. In all these organisms we can see external fertilization. Second type is internal fertilization. Internal fertilization means the fertilization which take place inside the body of organisms. What it is? The fertilization which take place inside the body of living organism we can call it as internal fertilization. Example, fungi, reptiles, birds, mammals. In all these organisms we can see internal fertilization. So these are the two types of fertilization. So what is fertilization? It is the second events which occur in sexual reproduction. Is it clear? Come to the last events which take place in sexual reproduction, that is post-fertilization events. What it means? Post-fertilization events means the events which occur after fertilization. It consists of two steps. First one is formation of zygote. Second one is embryogenesis. So these are the two steps which belongs to post-fertilization events. First we can discuss how a diploid zygote forms. The diploid zygote can form from a haploid gametes. That means from haploid male gametes and haploid female gametes. When they fuse together to form, what will form? A diploid zygote can form. Next point, embryogenesis. The process of development of embryo from the zygote is called as embryogenesis. What it is? The process of development of embryo from the zygote is called as embryogenesis. In embryogenesis, first zygote undergo cell division. Which type of cell division take place in zygote? Mitotic type of cell division take place in zygote, as well as cell differentiation also take place. By cell division, what will happen? Number of cells will increase. By cell differentiation, specialized tissue, organs, all these will form. Finally, it will lead to the formation of a new living organisms. So these are the process which take place during embryogenesis. Okay, what it is? The process of development of embryo from the zygote is called embryogenesis. Is it clear? Next point we can discuss parthenogenesis or virginal reproduction. Parthenogenesis is a form of asexual reproduction in which female produce eggs that develop without fertilization. Okay, that means parthenogenesis is the process of the production of a new living organism from a unfertilized egg. Parthenogenesis is seen to occur naturally in some invertebrates along with several fish, amphibians and reptiles, as well as in many plants. In all these organisms we can notice parthenogenesis or virginal reproduction. Here female gametes only undergo this reproduction process without the fertilization. Okay, from the female gametes only what is forming, a new living organism can form. Okay, there are no known cases of parthenogenesis in mammals. Means in mammals there are no known cases. Okay, so these are the points about parthenogenesis. Next point is breeding of animals. On the basis of time of breeding, animals are of two types. We can classify animals on the basis of time of breeding. What are they? First one is seasonal breeders and second one is continuous breeders. Seasonal breeders means they reproduce at a particular period of the year, such as frog, lizards, most birds, deer, etc. So once again we can discuss what are seasonal breeders. Seasonal breeders are animal species that successfully mate only during certain times of the year. Means at a particular period of the time of the year only they can successfully mate. Why they are mating at this particular period of time? Because this time of year allow for the optimization of young due to factors such as ambient temperature, food and water availability, and changes in the predators on behavior of the other species. Means when they mate in this particular period, what will produce? Offspring will produce, no? That offspring will protected from predators as well as they get ambient temperature and enough food and water. Okay, for all this purpose only they are mating at this particular period of time. Example, frog, lizards, most birds, deer, all these are coming under seasonal breeders. Next category is continuous breeders. These animals continue to breed throughout their sexual maturity. Examples are honey bee, queen, poultry, rabbit, mice, cattle and man. All these are coming under continuous breeders. We can discuss what are continuous breeders. Continuous breeders are animal species that can mate throughout the year. Females are sexually receptive during estrus. So listen, what are continuous breeders? The species that can mate throughout their year. Means there is no any restriction in between. So throughout the year they can mate, as well as their females are sexually receptive. What is the meaning of sexually receptive? It is the willingness to have sex with a partner. Okay. So these are the points regarding continuous breeders. Okay. Examples: honeybee, queen, poultry, rabbit, mice, cattle, etc. Is it clear? Next we can discuss chromosome number of some living organism. Means they are diploid chromosome and haploid chromosomes. Human being, what is the diploid chromosome number? 46. Haploid 23. That means gametes consist of 23 each. Housefly diploid chromosome number 12. Haploid is 6. Rat 42, its haploid is 21. Dog 78, 39. Cat 38, 19. Fruit fly 8, 4. Elephant 28, 14. Apple 34, 17. Rice 24, 12. Maize 20, 10. Potato 48, 24. Barley 14, 7, onion 32, 60. So these are the diploid chromosome number and haploid chromosome number of these organisms. Okay, just only learn that haploid and diploid chromosome number of these type of organisms. Last points: comparison, asexual and sexual reproduction. First we can discuss number of parents involved in asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, only one parent is involved. Whereas in sexual reproduction there are two parents. What do offspring look like in asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction? In asexual reproduction, offsprings are identical to parents, whereas in sexual reproduction, offsprings are different from parents but still similar. Next, the case of DNA. In asexual reproduction, offsprings have a same number of DNA same as parent, whereas in sexual reproduction, combined DNA of two parents, that means offspring will get a combined DNA of two parents. So these are the some points of difference between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So I hope all of you understood these points. If you have any doubt, you can put comments in comment box. I will come with a new video in next class. Till then, bye. Thank you.